Hi everyone, welcome to our daily blog, and as we're on Monday, and we're looking at this chapter where Philip Yancey is bringing his book on prayer towards its eventual conclusion, and we're looking especially this week at what do we pray for. So easy to pray for a number of situations that are people that are on our prayer lists, situations that are on our prayer lists, without really thinking about what are the lenses and the spectacles through which we pray. And this is what he's been exploring this week as we've been looking at these various aspects in this chapter. And today is no exception. We're going to be looking at the lens of compassion. When we pray for compassion in a situation or in the world, what are we actually praying for? Compassion is a funny word. I don't know about you, but it sort of implies to me wanting warmth, wanting generosity, wanting love to be shown in a situation, a level of understanding beyond just what is the facts before you. Compassion is about overcoming all things and enabling all things. And of course, when we pray for compassion, whether it be on a small scale or a big scale, then we can expect many others to be willing to do that, to pray for people to be kinder, people to do things differently, that God will intervene with compassion in a particular situation, that God will have his heart changed and so pour out his love or his healing for that person. What I find though with prayer in general, but particularly in this area of compassion, as we pray for compassion in a situation, is that we really need to be open to one of the great mysteries and indeed insights of prayer, which is that when I pray to God, there's a wonderful Jewish irony going on here. I don't know whether it's because God's got a great sense of humour or whatever, but I pray to God saying, God, please be in this situation, please do this for this person, please bring healing to this person or whatever. And as if God needs to have his heart and mind changed. And what I need to do is cry out to him. And he understands that, of course he does. But he is also on it before ever I am to utter a prayer. And you say, well then what's the point of prayer? If God's already got all this on his heart and mind, why do we pray at all? Why not just let him get on with it? Well, I think there's something wonderfully Jewish about all this, which is that by us speaking out our prayer to God, and sometimes that's verbally aloud and sometimes it's in our mind or even written down or painted or whatever, what happens is that God is speaking into us and into humanity, almost like a window is being opened through my heart, your heart, the heart of all those who pray, that lets God's mind and heart into us, so that we become the answers in many ways, or at least the partners with him in that answer to prayer. So when I pray for compassion in a particular situation, maybe I'm actually needing to discover that I may need to be more compassionate in that situation. And I think this is where it becomes, compassion really gets its true meaning and edge, because compassion can sound such a soft and lovely and even woolly, fluffy sort of word, but actually it both underpins a lot of what it means to be human, and indeed what we're called to do in terms of changing our personality and changing how we see things. Compassion for me challenges the need to just react to situations and be defensive about my own hurts and pains and see things from purely my own point of view. It calls me to see bigger than myself. It calls me to see the other person's point of view, and even if I don't agree with that, to at least acknowledge that that can exist and not just defend myself. It calls me to actually look to walk into vulnerability, a bit like coming out of the trenches. We've just had remembrance, coming out of the trenches and meeting in the no man's land of where they played that incredible and memorable game of football, and embracing the other, not just rejecting the other. But that calls for vulnerability. Who's going to be the first person to make a move? The other thing compassion calls for is the ability to be honest, in that the other person's less than perfect, but so am I. So together we need to be able to accept our imperfection as well as that which we hold out for in a world that clamours for perfection, and demands perfection and blames people when they haven't necessarily performed perfectly. Certainly Jan and I have been through a lot of that during this lockdown. And finally, I think it calls for growth, because when we show compassion, when we pray for compassion, we, together with God, glimpse a bigger understanding of what humanity can achieve. Only this weekend with the Strictly Come Dancing television programme, there was a moment where one of the dancers who's deaf gave an insight to the rest of the audience, and indeed through that to the many viewers who watch Strictly, of what it was like to be somebody in her situation. And many people's hearts went out to this young lady. I hope just in benevolence and kindness, but actually in a genuine desire to say, I can see or I can hear you in the silence, and together I get a deeper understanding of what it means to be human. And so we all grow, not just in kindness, but actually in reaching a deeper understanding of who we can be. So many people who are very able to hear actually struggle with the ability to cope with silence, and therefore to meet with God in prayer. All these things are underpinned by compassion, and so I leave that with you, that as we pray for compassion, please do pray for compassion. Our world desperately needs it. I think almost every human being on the planet needs more compassion in their lives. At the same time, may we be open to the challenge, if you like, of compassion, what it calls out of us and of who we can become. And that can be quite a scary but also a wonderful thing. And so may we grow together with God, the God of all compassion. Thanks ever so much for listening. God bless. Bye for now.